Have you ever paused in a moment of quiet reflection and asked yourself one of life's most profound questions? The question is not, what have I acquired? Nor is it, what have I done? The question in its purest form is this: am I truly living, or am I merely existing? There is a vast ocean between those two states of being. Existing is passive. It is the process of letting the currents of circumstance, the winds of opinion, and the tides of daily obligation carry you along. It is the life of a drifter, a passenger on a ship with no captain, no map, and no destination, hoping to wash ashore on some pleasant island called happiness or success. But living is an entirely different matter. To truly live is an active verb. It is a conscious, deliberate, and daily act of creation. It is the life of an architect. The architect does not hope for a magnificent structure to appear. The architect designs it meticulously, thoughtfully, and then builds it brick by brick, choice by choice, day by day. And this brings us to the central philosophy we will explore today. A truth so simple it is often overlooked, and yet so powerful it holds the key to transforming your entire existence. And the truth is this: a single day is a perfect miniature of your entire life. Think about that for a moment. Your day has a dawn, its birth. It has a morning of activity and an afternoon of challenges, its youth and middle age. It has an evening of reflection, its elder years. And it has a night of rest, its end. Within this single 24-hour span, you are presented with the full spectrum of the human experience: opportunity, resistance, decision, and consequence. The fundamental difference between a life of fulfillment and a life of regret, between a masterpiece and a ruin, lies in how you approach this single unit of time. It is the difference between being the drifter and becoming the architect. And my purpose today is to convince you not only that you can be the architect of your life, but that you must. Because if you don't design your own life plan, I can assure you the world has a plan for you, and it is a plan for mediocrity. Let us first, with unflinching honesty, examine the life of the drifter. Perhaps this will sound familiar. The drifter's day begins not with intention, but with intrusion. The alarm is not a call to opportunity, but a jarring annoyance. The first act is not one of conscious decision, but of passive consumption. The hand reaches for the phone. The mind is immediately flooded with the emergencies, the opinions, the anxieties, and the distractions of others. Before the drifter's feet have even touched the floor, the day's agenda has been hijacked. The blueprint for their day is being drawn by 1,000 different hands, none of which are their own. They move through the morning in a state of reaction. The email inbox becomes their to-do list. The urgent request from a colleague supersedes the important personal project. They are busy, oh yes, incredibly busy. They rush from task to task, meeting to meeting, putting out fires, answering demands. There is motion, there is activity, there is even stress, which the drifter often mistakes for importance. But what is truly being built? As the day wears on, a quiet sense of unease begins to settle in. It's a feeling of being behind without knowing exactly what one is behind on. It is the anxiety of unfulfilled potential. The goals they thought about last week, the book they wanted to read, the skill they wanted to learn, the very life they dream of, it all remains just out of reach, obscured by the fog of 1,000 trivialities. The day ends not with a sense of accomplishment, but with a sense of exhaustion. They collapse on the couch, seeking escape in mindless entertainment, their energy spent not on building their dream, but on servicing the demands of their day. And as they lay their head on the pillow, a familiar, nagging thought whispers in the quiet of the night: tomorrow, tomorrow I will be more focused, tomorrow I will be more disciplined, tomorrow will be different. But tomorrow, the cycle repeats. The drifter wakes up, reaches for the phone, and once again relinquishes the architect's tools. Days turn into weeks, weeks turn into months, and months turn into a lifetime of quiet desperation. A life spent reacting instead of creating. A life that is a pale shadow of the masterpiece it was meant to be. This is not a life of malice, it is a life of neglect. It is the slow, silent erosion of one's own greatness. Now, let us turn our attention away from this bleak landscape. Let us talk about the alternative. Let us talk about the philosophy of the architect. The architect understands that the most valuable real estate in the world is the first hour of the morning. It is a sacred, silent space, untouched by the demands of the world. It is the quarry from which the building blocks of the entire day are hewn. The architect protects this time with ferocious jealousy because they know that what happens in this first hour determines the trajectory of the next 16. The architect's day begins not with reaction, but with intention. Before they consume, they create. Before they listen to the world, they listen to themselves. They understand that a masterpiece is not built by accident, it is built from a blueprint. And that blueprint, the architectural design for a day of purpose and achievement, is drawn in the solitude of the early morning. This is the central theme of our entire discussion. The battle for your life is won or lost in that first hour. It is here that the mindset for the day is forged. It is here that the concrete of your resolve is poured. If you win the morning, you win the day. And if you win the day, repeated over and over, you win your life. The architect operates on a few fundamental principles. The first is the principle of the cornerstone. In ancient construction, the cornerstone was the first stone set in the foundation, and all other stones would be set in reference to it, determining the position of the entire structure. For the architect of the day, the cornerstone is the very first decision you make. It is the choice between the comfort of your bed and the commitment to your potential. It is a small act, but its symbolic power is immense. It is the first brick laid in the foundation of a disciplined day. The second is the principle of the primed instrument. An architect would never hand their precious blueprint to a construction crew that was tired, unfocused, and ill-equipped. Similarly, the architect of the day knows they must first prepare their own instrument, their body, and their mind. They must awaken the physical self from its slumber and sharpen the mind from its nocturnal fog. This is not about complex routines. It is about simple, powerful acts of taking command, of signaling to every fiber of your being that the time for rest is over and the time for creation has begun. The third, and perhaps most critical, is the principle of deliberate design. The drifter allows their focus to be scattered by the winds of chaos. The architect directs their focus with the precision of a laser. This happens through a profound dialogue with the self and the clear, unambiguous definition of one's targets. The architect does not hope to stumble upon accomplishment. They define it clearly on paper before the day begins. They give their energy a mission. They provide their mind with a set of coordinates. Without this clarity, all the energy and motivation in the world is like a powerful engine in a car with no steering wheel. It creates a lot of noise and heat, but ultimately it goes nowhere. And finally, there is the principle of ignition. A blueprint is a beautiful thing. A well-prepared instrument is essential. But without a spark, without the translation of intention into kinetic energy, nothing is ever built. The architect knows there must be a moment where potential energy is converted into active force, a moment where the decision to act is made manifest in a physical, tangible way. This is the moment of ignition, the point of no return, where the day is launched with such power and momentum that the gravitational pull of procrastination and laziness is left far behind. The cornerstone, the primed instrument, the deliberate design, the ignition. These are not mere habits. They are the pillars of a personal philosophy. A philosophy that says, my life is not a matter of chance, it is a matter of choice. I am not a creature of circumstance, I am a creator of circumstances. What we are going to explore together in the chapters that follow this introduction are the specific, practical, and powerful techniques for implementing this philosophy. We will move from the why to the how. We will give you the architect's tools. We will discuss the profound psychological power of your very first choice of the day. We will break down the simple physiological acts that awaken your body and mind, creating a state of peak readiness. We will walk through the process of defining your day with absolute clarity, transforming vague desires into concrete missions. And we will uncover the secrets to igniting your day with an unstoppable surge of energy and discipline. This is my promise to you. If you embrace this philosophy, if you commit to being the architect of your morning, your days will transform. And as your days transform, your weeks, your months, and your years will follow. The quiet desperation of the drifter will be replaced by the quiet confidence of the builder. The exhaustion of a reactive life will be replaced by the energizing fulfillment of a created one. You were not born to be a passenger. You were not designed to be a drifter. Within you lies the capacity, the intelligence, and the strength to build a life that is a true masterpiece, a testament to your highest potential. The choice begins now. The work begins tomorrow at dawn. The question is not, can you do this? The question is, will you? I invite you to stay with me, to learn the trade of the architect, and to begin the most important construction project you will ever undertake, the building of a magnificent life, one disciplined masterpiece of a day at a time. In our previous discussion, we established a foundational truth that you are the architect of your life, and that the blueprint for your masterpiece is drawn in the sacred, silent moments of the first hour of the day. We have embraced the philosophy that our lives are not a product of chance, but a product of design. Now, we arrive at the first moment of truth. We move from the abstract philosophy to the first tangible act of construction. For even the grandest cathedral, the most magnificent skyscraper, must begin with the laying of a single stone. This stone is the cornerstone. It is the reference point upon which the integrity of the entire structure depends. If this first stone is laid askew, crooked, or with a weak foundation, the entire building is compromised before it has even begun to rise. Your day, your masterpiece in miniature, has its own cornerstone, and it is laid in the very first decision you make upon waking. The moment arrives, disguised in the mundane. A sound cuts through the silence of your slumber. The alarm clock. It is not merely a device telling you the time. No, it is much more than that. It is a question. It is a daily referendum on your ambition. It is the universe, in its own simple way, asking you, today, right now, in this very moment, will you choose the person you aspire to be, or will you choose the person you have been? It is here, in the warmth and perceived safety of your bed, that the first and most important battle of the day is fought. It is the timeless battle between two opposing forces. On one side there is commitment, and on the other there is its seductive, treacherous adversary, comfort. Let us first speak of comfort. We must understand our enemy to defeat it. Comfort whispers to you in the most convincing, reasonable tones. It presents itself not as a vice, but as a reward. You've worked so hard, it says. You are tired. You deserve this. Just 5 more minutes. What harm can 5 more minutes do? The physical comfort of the bed is obvious. The warmth, the softness, the gentle pull back into the oblivion of sleep. But the true danger of comfort lies in its psychological appeal. It offers an escape from responsibility, an escape from the challenges that await you, an escape from the effort that growth requires. In those moments, the bed is not just a piece of furniture, it is a fortress against the demands of your own potential. Comfort promises peace, but it delivers stagnation. It promises safety, but it builds a prison. It is a cage with bars made of velvet. It does not feel like a prison at first. It feels like a sanctuary. But every morning you choose to remain in that sanctuary, the bars grow a little thicker, the lock a little stronger, and your dreams, your ambitions, your goals, they remain outside looking in, waiting for a person who never emerges. Comfort is the tranquilizer of ambition. It doesn't kill your aspirations outright, it simply puts them to sleep one morning at a time until the slumber becomes permanent. Now, let us turn to the negotiation itself. This seemingly innocent internal dialogue over 5 more minutes is one of the most destructive habits a human being can entertain. We must dissect it, expose its treachery, so that you may never fall for its lies again. The negotiation begins with justification. The mind, in service of comfort, becomes a brilliant lawyer arguing its case with flawless, albeit flawed, logic. Still dark out. My body needs more rest. I'll just work a little later tonight to make up for it. Top performers value rest, don't they? Have you ever noticed how creative, how convincing your own mind can be when it wants to avoid a discipline? It will quote articles it has never read. It will invent scientific principles. It will promise future heroics to justify present weakness. You must see this for what it is, a rebellion of your lesser self against the commands of your higher self. It is the voice of mediocrity fighting to maintain its territory. After justification comes the devastating consequence, the erosion of self-trust. Think of your self-respect, your self-trust, as a foundation made of stone. Every time you make a promise to yourself and keep it, you add another stone to that foundation. It grows stronger, more solid. You learn to rely on yourself. But every time you make a promise, I will get up at 6 a.m. and you break it, you do not simply lose 5 minutes. You take a chisel and hammer to your own foundation. You chip away at your own integrity. The first time, it's just a small chip. You barely notice. But the act is recorded in your subconscious. The next morning, the negotiation is a little easier. The voice of comfort is a little louder, a little more confident, because it won the day before. And your own voice of commitment is a little weaker, because it knows it has a history of giving in. Repeat this process for weeks, for months, for years. Those small chips become gaping holes. The foundation of your self-trust becomes weak and unstable. And then, when you try to build something truly great upon it, a business, a new level of health, a difficult skill, the foundation crumbles. You find yourself wondering why you can't stick to your goals. You wonder why you procrastinate on the big things. The answer is simple. You never learn to win the small things. You cannot trust yourself to execute a grand strategy because you have taught yourself day after day that you cannot even be trusted to execute the first simple tactic. The person in the mirror becomes someone whose word you can no longer take seriously. This is a quiet, internal tragedy. Finally, the negotiation establishes the principle of precedent. Your first action of the day sets the psychological tone for all subsequent actions. When your first conscious decision is an act of delay, an act of prioritizing feeling over duty, you have set the precedent. You have programmed your mind for the path of least resistance. And so, later in the day, when you are faced with a choice between making the difficult but important phone call or checking the easy but trivial emails, which path do you think your pre-programmed mind will favor? When you have the choice between the discomfort of a workout and the comfort of the couch, which choice aligns with the precedent you have already set? The 5 more minutes in bed becomes 5 more minutes scrolling on social media. It becomes putting off that project until tomorrow. It becomes the hesitation to speak up in a meeting. It is the same choice in a different costume. The disease is delay. And the first symptom appears the moment the alarm clock rings. So, what is the alternative? The alternative is the philosophy of commitment. Commitment, in its purest form, is a promise you make to your future self. The person you will be in 1 year, in 5 years, in 10 years, is depending on the choices you make today. That future self, the stronger, healthier, wealthier, wiser version of you, is pleading with you across time. Please lay the foundation for me today. Endure the small discomfort now so that I may enjoy a greater life later. When you choose commitment over comfort, you are honoring that plea. You are making a down payment on your future. The act of throwing off the blankets and placing your feet on the floor immediately and without negotiation is not an act of struggle. It is a declaration of power. It is you stating in the clearest possible terms, my future is more important than my feelings. My commitments are stronger than my cravings. My discipline defines me, not my desires. This is how you build what I call the discipline muscle. Willpower is not a finite resource that you are born with. It is a muscle. And like any muscle, it grows stronger with resistance. The alarm clock is your dumbbell. The warmth of the bed is the resistance. Every morning you choose to get up immediately. You are performing a repetition. You are strengthening that muscle. The first few days it'll be difficult. The muscle is weak, it'll ache, it'll protest. But after a week it becomes easier. After a month it becomes habit. After a year it becomes part of your identity. You no longer see the choice as a struggle. It is simply who you are. You are a person who does what they say they will do. The negotiation ceases to even begin because the winner has already been decided. And what is the immediate reward? It is not the 5 or 10 minutes you have gained. That is trivial. The reward is the momentum of the first victory. Imagine starting every single day of your life with an undeniable win before most of the world is even awake. You have faced your first challenge, the battle against your own internal weakness, and you have emerged victorious. This victory injects you with a potent dose of self-respect and confidence. It creates a psychological ripple effect. Because you have won the first battle, you are more confident that you can win the second. Because you have honored your first commitment, you are more likely to honor the next. You carry this energy, this feeling of being in command with you from that moment forward. It informs your posture, it clarifies your thinking, it strengthens your resolve. You are not dragging yourself into the day hoping to survive it. You are striding into the day ready to conquer it. So, let us reframe our relationship with the morning. That sound, the alarm, is not your enemy. It is your sparring partner. It is your opportunity to build strength. It is not a call to suffering, but a call to greatness. It is the starting pistol for the most important race you will ever run, the race against your own potential. The choice is not a burden, it is a privilege. It is the privilege of being an architect, of consciously choosing to lay the cornerstone of your day with precision and strength. Every morning you are given a fresh slate, a new opportunity to cast your vote. Every sunrise offers you the chance to say no to the seductive whispers of mediocrity and yes to the demanding but ultimately rewarding call of your own higher standards. This single, simple discipline is the foundation upon which all other disciplines are built. If you cannot master this, you will struggle to master anything else. But if you can make the unwavering choice of commitment over comfort, you will have unlocked the first and most crucial secret to building a life that is not merely existed, but is truly, magnificently lived. You have made the choice. You have won the first battle. You have honored the promise to your future self. Now, with your feet firmly on the floor, you stand not as a victim of the day, but as its commander. It is time to command your instrument. In our last discussion, we stood together at the dawn of a new day. We faced the first and perhaps most significant battle, the internal war between the fleeting allure of comfort and the enduring power of commitment. By choosing to rise immediately and without negotiation, you have won that battle. You have laid the cornerstone for your day with an act of pure, unadulterated will. You have made a promise to your future self, and you have kept it. But a will, no matter how strong, remains a ghost in the machine until it has a vehicle through which to act. An architect's grandest vision is but a fleeting thought until a construction crew arrives to give it form. A composer's symphony is mere silence until an orchestra raises its instruments to give it voice. And you, the architect of your day, have at your disposal the most magnificent, complex, and capable instrument ever created. Your physical body. It is the vehicle that will carry your ambitions. It is the chisel that will carve out your success. It is the only means by which your intentions, your goals, and your philosophy can be made real in the world. And so, having won the battle of the will, we now turn to the critical task of commanding the instrument. This is not a matter of mere biology. It is a matter of philosophy. It is the principle of embodiment, the conscious act of translating your inner resolve into a physical reality. For if you cannot command your own body, how can you possibly hope to command your day, your career, or your destiny? Most people are strangers to their own instrument. They inhabit their bodies like distracted tenants in a rented house, unaware of its mechanics, neglecting its maintenance, and surprised when it fails to perform. The architect, however, is a master of their instrument. And that mastery begins with 3 simple, yet profoundly significant rituals of physical awakening. The first ritual begins the moment your feet touch the floor. It is the ritual of posture, the act of claiming your space. I want you to stand up straight, lift your chest, pull your shoulders back, and stretch your entire body with force and intention. Do not perform this act passively. Do not treat it as a drowsy, half-hearted yawn. This is your first physical declaration of the day. Reach your hands to the ceiling, not as if you are merely stretching, but as if you are pushing away the very ceiling of your own limitation. Feel the alignment of your spine, a column of strength running through your core. Why is this simple act so critical? Because your posture is the language of your subconscious mind. It is the external expression of your internal state. Observe the posture of defeat. The shoulders are slumped, the chest is concave, the head is bowed. It is a posture of apology, of submission, of retreat. It is the physical shape of the words, I am overwhelmed. I am not ready. When you allow your body to assume this shape, even for a moment, you are sending a powerful signal to your brain to release the corresponding chemistry of fatigue and anxiety. You are, in effect, telling your instrument to prepare for failure. Now, consider the posture of command. The spine is erect. The shoulders are back. The chest is open. The gaze is level. This is the physical language of confidence, of readiness, of authority. It is the non-verbal declaration of the words, I am present, I am capable, I am in control. When you deliberately place your body in this structure, you are not pretending to be confident. You are instructing your entire biological system to become confident. You are initiating an internal chemical cascade of energy and resolve. This ritual is your first act of physical dominion. In a world that will try to make you shrink, you choose to expand. In a world that will weigh you down, you choose to rise. You are claiming your vertical space. You are stating, without a single word, that you intend to be a significant presence in your own life today. You are aligning your physical self with the victory your will has already achieved. Your spine is the antenna for your attitude. A crooked antenna receives only static and doubt. A straight, aligned antenna receives the clear signal of your own defined purpose. Do not underestimate the power of this. It is the act of shaping your psychology from the outside in. Once you have established your physical structure, you must then attend to your internal system. This brings us to the second ritual, the ritual of internal cleansing, the act of waking the river within. You must now drink a full glass of cold water, and you must drink it fast. For the last several hours, while your mind has been traveling through the landscape of dreams, your body has been in a state of repair and conservation. It is dehydrated. A dehydrated body is a sluggish body. A dehydrated brain is a foggy brain. Think of your potential for the day as a fertile field. Dehydration is a drought. Nothing of value can grow in a parched land. So, the first reason for this ritual is simple: practical maintenance. You are providing your instrument with its most essential fuel, but the philosophy runs much, much deeper. The water itself is a symbol of purification. As you drink, I want you to visualize it as a clean, clear river flowing through you, flushing out the stagnant pools of sleep, washing away the metabolic sediment of the night. It is an internal cleansing, preparing the pathways of your body for a day of peak performance. But why cold and why fast? Herein lies the secret. The choice for cold water is a conscious rejection of the comfort we have just discussed. The warmth of the bed is a gentle lullaby. The shock of cold water is a trumpet blast. It is a deliberate, invigorating discomfort. It is a second powerful statement that you are choosing vitality over lethargy. It creates a cascade of physiological responses, a slight increase in heart rate, a sharpening of the senses that act as a silent internal alarm clock for every cell in your body. And the choice to drink it fast is a lesson in decisiveness. You do not sip, you do not hesitate. You perform the act with purpose and finality. This small act of rapid execution builds on the precedent you set by getting out of bed immediately. You are training yourself to act without deliberation when the correct path is clear. You are building a pattern of decisive action. So, this is not merely an act of hydration, it is an act of activation. You are the architect, and with this ritual, you are turning on the power and the plumbing for your entire structure. You are waking the river within and ensuring that it flows with energy and clarity for the day ahead. You have established your structure. You have activated your internal systems. Now you must sharpen your perception of the world. This is the third and final ritual of the physical awakening. The ritual of the external shock, the act of shattering the veil. You will now go to the sink and you will wash your face with the coldest water you can stand. Throughout the night, your mind has been veiled in the mists of the subconscious. The logic of the waking world has been replaced by the dream logic of sleep. As you wake, a remnant of this veil remains. It is the fog of grogginess, the blurry line between the inner world of thought and the outer world of reality. This ritual is the act of shattering that veil. The shock of ice-cold water on your face is an undeniable, irrefutable sensory event. It is impossible to ignore. In that singular moment, you are forced with absolute certainty into the here and now. You cannot be worrying about a meeting later in the day when the cold sears your skin. You cannot be regretting a mistake from yesterday. All the mental chatter, all the lingering fog is instantly vaporized by the sheer intensity of the sensation. This is a baptism of awareness. It is a declaration that you are no longer a passive dreamer, but an active participant in reality. The cold water awakens millions of nerve endings, sending a jolt of pure, unadulterated information directly to your brain, commanding it to achieve a state of maximum alertness. Your senses are sharpened. Your focus is narrowed to a razor's edge. The world comes into high definition. This act completes the transition that began when the alarm first rang. If choosing commitment over comfort was the decision, this is the final physical exclamation point. It is a ritual of purification, washing away the last remnants of sleep and inertia. It is an act of fortification, steeling your senses for the challenges to come. It is the moment you look at the day with clear eyes, literally and metaphorically, and announce that you are fully present and accounted for. Do you see the architecture of this process now? These are not 3 random tips. They are a deliberate, sequential, and philosophical progression. With posture, you build the structure. You claim your authority and align your physical form with the intention of success. With internal cleansing, you provide the fuel. You activate your systems and create the internal environment for vitality and clear thought. With the external shock, you achieve focus. You shatter the veil of grogginess and bring your senses to a state of peak awareness. Structure, fuel, focus. The person who performs these 3 rituals is a fundamentally different being from the one who stumbles out of bed and into the reactive stream of the day. The drifter begins their day in a state of physical deficit, slumped, dehydrated, and foggy. The architect begins their day in a state of physical surplus, aligned, activated, and alert. You have now, through conscious and deliberate action, prepared your instrument for the performance. The vessel is no longer dormant. It is online, it is primed, and it is ready. You have taken the abstract victory of the will and have embodied it in the tangible reality of your physical self. You have closed the gap between your intention and your instrument. The vessel is prepared. But a magnificent ship, fully crewed and ready to sail, is useless without a map and a destination. It is now time to give your commanded instrument its instructions. It is time to consult the architect's blueprint for the day. It is time to engage in the architecture of the mind. And so, with these 3 rituals, you have taken complete command of your physical instrument. The vessel is prepared. It is aligned, activated, and alert, ready to receive its instructions. Before we ascend to the architect's office of the mind, before we consult the blueprint for the day, I invite you to take a moment for a simple yet significant act of intention. If this philosophy of deliberate construction, of becoming the architect of your own life, resonates with you, then I invite you to subscribe to this channel. Think of it not as a click, but as a commitment, a small, disciplined choice to continue this journey of personal mastery with us. It is a declaration that you are serious about this work. Now, with that commitment made, let us proceed. It is time to give our commanded instrument its instructions. It is time to engage in the architecture of the mind. And so, you stand here now, not the same person who awoke mere minutes ago, but a new being. You have conquered the will. You have commanded the instrument. The physical vessel is aligned. It is activated. and it is alert. The engine is warm. The crew is at its stations. The magnificent ship that is your potential for the day is primed and ready. But a ship, no matter how powerful, without a map, without a destination, without a captain on the bridge giving clear commands, is nothing more than a potential tragedy. It is a vessel adrift, at the mercy of the currents and the storms, destined to wander aimlessly or crash upon the rocks of circumstance. We now, therefore, must turn our attention away from the engine room and ascend to the command bridge. We must enter the most sacred, most powerful, and most often neglected space in our universe, the architect's office, the inner sanctum of the mind. For the drifter, this space is a chaotic storm of thoughts, fears, memories, and the incessant screaming noise of the outside world. There is no order, no priority, no clear command. But for the architect, this space is a quiet, orderly, and powerful command center. It is here that the day is not just experienced, but designed. It is here that the blueprint for our masterpiece is finalized. This process of mental architecture is not complex, but it demands a level of honesty and intention that most are unwilling to practice. It consists of three fundamental acts: a dialogue of accountability, an act of creative design, and a declaration of unwavering intent. Let us begin with the first and perhaps the most confronting act. It is time for the most important meeting of your day. This is the ritual of the mirror, the dialogue of accountability. You will stand before the mirror and you will look. But I do not mean a casual glance. I mean you will look past the surface, past the tired eyes or the uncombed hair, and you will look into the eyes of the person who is 100% responsible for your life. This person looking back at you, this is the Chief Executive Officer of You, Incorporated. This is the President. This is the Chairman of the Board. This is the only individual with the power to sign off on the decisions that will shape your health, your wealth, and your happiness. And you are now calling the daily leadership meeting to order. Most people spend their lives running from this person. They distract themselves, they numb themselves, they blame others, all to avoid the unflinching gaze of the one they are truly accountable to. But the architect does not run. The architect engages. This dialogue is not about reciting hollow affirmations. It is not about pretending to be something you are not. It is a moment of profound, brutal honesty and executive command. First, you establish the chain of command. You look that person in the eye and you give the first directive with a quiet and firm authority. We are awake, we are present, and we are in charge. This statement is the foundation. It is the conscious higher self asserting its rightful authority over the habitual subconscious self that is so often drawn to comfort and distraction. You are reminding your own internal systems who is on the bridge. Once command is established, you proceed with the executive briefing. You must ask the hard questions, the questions that cut through the fog of excuses and get to the heart of the matter. Question like, what is our primary mission today? What is the single most valuable objective we are tasked with achieving? What standard of excellence will we hold ourselves to? What level of mediocrity, which we may have accepted yesterday, will we refuse to walk past today? What excuse is the most likely to present itself? What is the seductive lie our weaker self is preparing to tell us? And what is our pre-planned response to silence it? And perhaps the most powerful question of all, who are we choosing to be today? Not just what will we do, but what character, what virtues will we embody? Will we be a person of discipline, of courage, of focus, of integrity? This is not a conversation of self-criticism. It is a conversation of leadership. It is you, as the leader of your own life, setting the vision and the non-negotiable standards for your team of one. It is in this moment, looking into your own eyes, that you dissolve the separation between the person you are and the person you want to become. You close the gap with a clear, conscious choice. You are the leader, you are the follower, and you must be in perfect alignment. Once the dialogue is complete, once the leader has set the vision, it is time for the architect to unroll the parchment. A vision without a plan is a hallucination. This brings us to the second act of mental architecture, the ritual of the pen, the act of creative design. You will now take a pen and a piece of paper and you will write down your top 3 goals for the day. and you will do this fast. Let us dissect this simple instruction, for it is laden with profound power. First, the act of writing. Why not just think about your goals or type them into a device? Because the physical act of putting pen to paper is an act of magic. It is the first step in the process of transmutation. You are taking something that exists only as a non-physical electrical impulse in your brain, a thought, a dream, and you are giving it its first physical form. A thought is a vapor. It is easily dispersed. But a written word has form, it has substance, it has weight. It is a commitment captured from the ether and pinned to the page. You can see it. You can touch it. It becomes real to your senses, and therefore it becomes more real to your subconscious mind. The pen is the architect's first building tool, the instrument that draws the lines that will soon become walls and rooms and the entire structure of your day. Now, why only 3? Because clarity is power, and focus is the conduit of that power. The drifter has a list of 20 things they should do. The result, their energy is diluted, scattered across a wide, shallow front. They make an inch of progress in 20 directions, which is no real progress at all. The architect understands the law of concentrated force. They choose 3 vital targets. This act of choosing is an act of executive decision-making. It forces you to distinguish between the merely urgent and the truly important. It compels you to say no to a dozen good ideas so you can give a resounding yes to the 3 great ones. A magnifying glass, when swept across a piece of paper, does nothing. But when held still, focusing the sun's rays on a single point, it can start a fire. Your 3 goals are your single point of focus. They are how you start the fire of accomplishment. And finally, why must you do this fast? Because your mind is home to an inner committee of doubt. This committee is populated by the ghosts of your past failures, the voices of your old fears, and the persuasive arguments of your own insecurity. If you deliberate for too long, the committee will call a meeting. They will question your qualifications. They will debate the risks. They will suggest more realistic goals. They will, in short, negotiate your ambition down to a manageable, comfortable, and mediocre size. Writing your goals fast is an act of executive authority. It is you, the chairman of the board, bypassing the committee and issuing a direct order. It is a lightning strike of pure intention, captured on the page before the clouds of doubt have time to gather. The dialogue has been held, the blueprint has been drawn, the structure is clear, concise, and committed to paper. Now, we must breathe life into it. We must energize the plan. This is the 3rd and final act of our mental architecture, the ritual of the voice, the act of powerful declaration. You will take that piece of paper, you will look at your 3 goals, and you will read them out loud with a strong, clear, and confident voice. If writing gives your goals form, speaking them gives them energy. It is the act of vibrating your intention into the world. Your mind, your body, the very room you stand in now resonates with the frequency of your ambition. Why is this so critical? Because the most influential and convincing voice your subconscious mind will ever hear is your own. It believes what you tell it, especially when it is told with emotional conviction. When you whisper your goals or read them in a flat, monotone voice, the message received by your subconscious is one of doubt. This is something I hope might happen. But when you speak your goals with force and power, the message is one of certainty. This is a command. This is our mission. This is an outcome we are now creating. You are not a petitioner asking for success. You are a commander issuing the orders for its creation. The strength in your voice silences the inner critic. The conviction in your tone programs your mind's guidance system to start actively seeking the people, the opportunities, and the resources required to make your goals a reality. You are, in effect, tuning your perception to the frequency of your target. This is the culmination of the mental architecture. With the mirror, you achieved accountability. With the pen, you achieved clarity. And with the voice, you achieved conviction. Accountability, clarity, conviction. The architect has now completed the most critical work of the day. The internal world is in perfect order. The leader is in dialogue with the self. The blueprint is clear. The intention has been energized and declared. Your mind is no longer a chaotic storm of distraction. It is a calm, focused, and powerful command center, ready to direct the instrument you have so carefully prepared. The will is aligned, the body is prepared, the mind is clear, the blueprint is in hand. All that remains now is the first powerful, explosive act of creation that will propel you into your day with unstoppable force. All that remains is the ignition. We now stand at the precipice. Look back for a moment at the ground we have covered. We began with a single foundational choice, the victory of commitment over comfort. We then moved to command our physical instrument, transforming it from a dormant vessel into an aligned, activated, and alert machine. We have just completed the most critical work of the architect. We held the dialogue of accountability. We drew the blueprint with absolute clarity, and we energized that blueprint with the power of our own convicted voice. The will is aligned, the body is prepared, the mind is clear, the blueprint is in hand. The potential energy gathered in these early moments is immense. It is a reservoir of power, of focus, of intention. But let us be brutally honest. Potential energy by itself builds nothing. A blueprint, no matter how brilliant, does not erect a single wall. A powerful engine, sitting silent, moves no cargo. We now face what I call the Great Divide. It is the vast, silent chasm that separates the world of preparation from the world of performance. It is the gap between knowing what to do and the act of doing it. This chasm is littered with the skeletons of brilliant ideas, noble intentions, and unrealized dreams. Most people live their entire lives on one side of this divide, forever preparing, planning, and intending, but never making the courageous leap into action. This chapter is about building the bridge across that divide. It is about the final critical sequence. It is about the moment where all the gathered potential is converted into unstoppable kinetic energy. It is the moment the architect hands the final signed blueprint to the foreman and says, with thunderous authority, begin. This is the ignition sequence. The sequence is a three-stage process, like the launch of a powerful rocket. Each stage is designed to build upon the last, culminating in a liftoff that makes retreat impossible. The first stage is designed to conquer the single greatest force that holds humanity in a state of mediocrity, the law of inertia. This brings us to our first ritual of ignition, the ritual of resistance, the act of forging the will in fire. You will now, without a single moment of hesitation, perform 20 push-ups. I can sense the questions in your mind. Push-ups? After all this deep philosophical work, the answer is exercise. You are misunderstanding the purpose. We are not training the muscles of your chest, we are training the very muscle of your will. This is not an act of fitness, it is an act of physics. The first law of motion states that an object at rest will stay at rest unless acted upon by an external force. This law applies as much to the human spirit as it does to a stone. The will at rest stays at rest. The ambition at rest stays at rest. The drifter's entire life is a testament to the power of inertia. The 20 push-ups are your external force. They are the deliberate application of an unbalanced force against the comfortable inertia of your own being. It is a physical act, and this is critical, because the mind is a master of deceit, but the body cannot lie. You cannot pretend to do a push-up. You either generate the force to push the floor away, or you do not. It is an act of pure, honest effort. In this moment, you are engaging in a beautiful, symbolic struggle. Gravity, the fundamental force that pulls everything down towards mediocrity and rest, is your adversary. Your own strength, fueled by your intention, is the opposing force. With every repetition, from 1 to 20, you are not just lifting your body, you are lifting your entire day. You are proving in the most tangible way possible that you are a force of upward momentum in a world that constantly tries to pull you down. This is the forging of your identity. You are not just doing something difficult, you are becoming a person who does difficult things as a matter of course. Each push-up is a vote cast for a new identity, an identity that does not shrink from resistance but seeks it out as a tool for growth. Think of this act as the down payment on success. Success is not free, it has a price. and that price is always paid in the currency of effort and discomfort. The drifter tries to avoid this payment, hoping for success on credit. It never arrives. The architect understands that the price must be paid and chooses to pay it up front. This small, intense payment of physical effort you make in the morning earns you an incredible psychological return. Having already paid a price, having already endured a discomfort, you have proven to yourself that you are a serious investor in your own day. The subsequent challenges you face will seem smaller because you have already established that you are willing to pay the price. This is the conquest of inertia. You have shattered the stillness. You have broken the spell of inaction. An explosion of energy has been created, but an explosion by itself is chaotic and scattered. It must be channeled. This leads us to the second stage of our launch sequence. This is the ritual of focus, the act of gathering the scattered self. Immediately following your final push-up, your heart is beating faster, your blood is flowing, your mind may be racing with the energy you've just unleashed. Now, you must gather this raw, explosive power and transform it into focused propulsion. You will stand and you will take 5 deep, forceful, and focused breaths. This is not a relaxation exercise. It is an act of deliberate concentration. The push-ups were an act of exertion. This is an act of consolidation. Let us dissect the anatomy of a power breath. The inhale is not a gentle sip of air. It is a deep, forceful draw, as if you are pulling all the energy from the room, all the oxygen, all the potential into the very core of your being. You are inhaling power. You are filling the tanks for the journey ahead. Then you hold it for a moment. This is the moment of pure, compressed potential. It is a moment of absolute stillness and focus, where all the scattered energy you have just created is gathered into a single point. And then the exhale. It is not a sigh. It is a forceful expulsion of air, and with it, you visualize the expulsion of every last remnant of doubt, every trace of hesitation, every whisper of weakness that may still be lingering in your system. You are not just exhaling carbon dioxide, you are exhaling resistance. With each of the 5 breaths, the process deepens. The first breath gathers the physical energy. The second gathers the mental energy. The third aligns the physical and the mental. The fourth transforms that alignment into a sharp point of focus. And the fifth breath is a silent commitment to what comes next. In this brief ritual, you have acted as a master engineer. You have taken the chaotic energy of the initial explosion and channeled it through the turbines of your own breath, transforming it into a steady, powerful, and directed stream of focused life force. The rocket is no longer just shaking on the launch pad. Its engines are now humming with a controlled, sustainable power. The energy is gathered. The focus is absolute. All systems are go. We now proceed to the final, irreversible act of the launch. This is the ritual of declaration, the act of unleashing the sonic boom of intention. You have the blueprint in your mind, clear and precise from your work in our previous chapter. You have the energy coursing through your veins. You have the focus of a sharpened spear. Now you will give that energy its final, ultimate command. You will stand tall in that posture of command you have already established, and you will shout your primary mission for the day with real, undeniable power. I do not mean you should whisper it. I do not mean you should say it. I mean you must shout it. It must be a physical, visceral, and vocal act of creation. It is the moment the blueprint on the page becomes a battle cry in your soul. Why? Because sound is a creative force. When you speak with timid uncertainty, you create a weak and uncertain reality. When you speak with the force of absolute conviction, you begin to bend reality to your will. Your own voice, vibrating with power, is a command that your subconscious mind cannot ignore. It is a shock wave of intention that ripples through every cell of your body. This shout is the final stage of the rocket. It is the thunderous roar of the engines at full thrust. It is the moment of liftoff. It is the point of no return. In this moment, you are not hoping to accomplish your mission, You are not planning to accomplish it. You are declaring to yourself and to the universe that its accomplishment is an inevitability that has already been set in motion. This act aligns the final piece of the puzzle, your emotional state. Your logic is clear from the blueprint. Your body is ready from the physical rituals. Now, your emotions are brought into perfect, harmonious alignment with your purpose. You cannot shout your mission with power and feel lazy. You cannot declare your intention with force and feel doubtful. The act itself generates the very emotional fuel you need to see it through. This is the climax of your morning architecture, the conquest of resistance with the push-ups, the gathering of focus with the breath, the final act of declaration with the voice. The launch sequence is complete, and so you stand, not merely awake, not just prepared, but ignited. You are in motion. You have crossed the great divide. You have not been pulled reluctantly into your day. You have launched yourself into it with the force of a thunderbolt. From this point forward, hesitation is a foreign concept. Procrastination has no place to gain a foothold. The momentum you have generated in these final, powerful moments will carry you through the challenges, over the obstacles, and past the distractions that will inevitably litter your path. You began this journey as an architect with a vision. Now, you step out into the world as the master builder with the power tools humming in your hands. The launch is complete. The masterpiece awaits. The day is yours. Go and build. We have traveled a great distance together in a very short time. We began in the pre-dawn darkness, in the quiet crucible of a single choice. We stood on the first battlefield of the day and chose commitment over the seductive siren song of comfort. From that cornerstone, we began to build. We took command of our physical instrument, transforming it from a dormant vessel into an aligned, activated, and alert vehicle for our ambition. We then ascended to the architect's office of the mind, where we engaged in the courageous dialogue of accountability, drew the blueprint of our day with absolute clarity, and energized that blueprint with the power of a convicted declaration. And finally, we completed the ignition sequence, translating all that profound intention into irreversible, powerful action. We have together laid out the complete architecture of a single, disciplined, and magnificent day. But now, we must address the most important question of all. A question that may be lingering in the back of your mind as a quiet, skeptical whisper. And the question is this: why? Why go through all this effort? Why the cold water? Why the push-ups? Why the meticulous planning and the forceful declarations, all for a single day? Is the reward of one productive day truly worth the price of such rigorous discipline? And the answer is no, it is not. If the reward for this entire process was merely one good day, then I would tell you that the price is too high. The philosophy would be flawed. But you must understand, we are not in the business of building good days. We are in the business of building a magnificent life. The day is not the product. The day is merely the brick. Today, in this concluding chapter, we are going to zoom out. We will move our focus from the intricate details of a single brick and look up at the grand cathedral it is meant to build. We will discuss the most powerful, subtle, and underestimated force in the universe of human achievement. We will discuss the compounding effect of a designed day. Let us first address the great trap that causes most people to abandon any new discipline within weeks. It is the fallacy of the single day and the problem of invisible results. When the architect completes their first design day and the drifter completes their typical reactive day, and they both lay their heads on the pillow that night, the difference in their external circumstances is almost zero. There is no trophy waiting on the architect's nightstand. Their bank account has not suddenly multiplied. The world has not thrown a parade in their honor. The drifter, on the other hand, has had an easier day. They chose comfort. They followed the path of least resistance, and they see no immediate catastrophic consequence. This is the seductive danger. The penalty for neglect is not immediate, and the reward for discipline is not immediate. And so the drifter's mind tells them, see, it doesn't really matter. All that effort for what? And the architect's mind, if not properly trained, might whisper, that was a lot of work for a small return. This is where 99% of people fail. They live in a world that has trained them to expect immediate results. They are looking for a quantum leap, a lottery win, but greatness is never built in a leap. Greatness is the result of a slow, steady, and relentless accumulation of small, correct choices. I want you to imagine two ships leaving a harbor. They are identical in every way. The captain of ship A sets a course due north. The captain of ship B, the architect, sets a course just 1 single degree to the east. For the first day of the voyage, if you looked at them from the shore, they would appear to be sailing side by side. After a week, they would still be within sight of each other. The 1 degree difference is almost imperceptible. It seems to make no difference at all. But let us play out that single, seemingly insignificant degree of difference over the course of a long journey. After a month, the two ships are hundreds of miles apart. After a year, they are on entirely different oceans, heading towards entirely different continents. The small, intelligent choice, compounded over time, has resulted in a completely different destiny. The architecture of your morning is that 1 degree shift. It is the small, almost invisible course correction that, when compounded day after day, leads you to a destination the drifter can only dream of. Let us explore the mathematics of this miracle. The 8th wonder of the world is not a structure of stone. It is the principle of compound interest. And this principle applies to every area of your life. When you practice the architecture of your morning, you are making daily deposits into several crucial accounts. First, you are making a deposit into your discipline account the first day. The discipline is hard won, but the second day it is a fraction of a percent easier because you are building on the victory of the day before. After a year, the discipline required is a shadow of what it once was because the muscle has grown strong. It has become your new normal. Second, you make a deposit into your knowledge account. Because your day is designed, because your mind is focused, you are in a state to learn. You read the book instead of scrolling the feed. You pay attention in the meeting instead of daydreaming. The small insights you gain each day, compounded over years, will make you a master in your field while the drifter remains a perpetual novice. Third, you make a deposit into your opportunity account. The world has a strange way of opening doors for the person who is already in motion. The energy, the focus, the reliability you begin to radiate becomes a magnet for opportunity. People with capital, people with ideas, people with influence are drawn to the architect, not the drifter. The opportunities you receive in year 5 are the direct result of the discipline foundation you laid in year 1. But the most important account, the one from which all others draw their value, is your self-respect account. Every single time you complete the morning architecture, you are keeping a profound promise to yourself. You are adding to the evidence that you are a person of your word. This currency, this internal capital of self-trust, compounds faster than any other. And with a high balance in this account, you become resilient. You become unstoppable. This brings us to an essential piece of wisdom for the architect, the understanding of the seasons of life. The journey will not always be smooth sailing. Life will inevitably send its storms. It will send its winters. There will be days of setback. There will be moments of failure. There will be times of grief and loss. For both the architect and the drifter, the seasons change. The rain falls on the just and the unjust alike. The drifter, with no reserves, is devastated by winter. Their foundation of self-trust is weak. They have no disciplined habits to fall back on. The first sign of a storm sends their ship spinning out of control. They are a victim of the season. But the architect has been preparing for winter every single day. The morning ritual is not just a tool for sunny days of productivity. It is an anchor in the storm. On the most difficult days, when the world outside is chaotic and uncertain, the architecture of the morning becomes a sacred sanctuary of order. It is the one thing you can control. The act of rising on time, of commanding your instrument, of defining your intent, it becomes a profound declaration that even in the midst of a storm, you are still the captain of your ship. The discipline you build during the easy days of summer and autumn becomes the very strength that allows you to endure and even learn from the harsh days of winter. This is the difference between a life that is fragile and a life that is resilient. So what is the ultimate result of this process? If we follow the trajectory of that 1-degree shift over the course of an entire lifetime, where does it lead? The result is not merely a collection of successful days. It is not just a list of goals achieved. The ultimate creation of the architect is the cathedral of a life. Think of the great cathedral builders of centuries past. The man who laid the first stone in the foundation did not live to see the spire touch the clouds. He may have worked his entire life on a single wall. His individual contribution, seen in isolation, might have seemed small. But he was not just laying stones. He was building a cathedral. He trusted the architect's blueprint. He knew that his small daily act of perfect craftsmanship, when combined with the perfect craftsmanship of others, day after day, generation after generation, would result in a masterpiece that would stand for 1,000 years. You are both the craftsman and the architect. Your morning ritual is you, showing up each day and laying one single brick, one perfectly designed day with excellence. On any given day, you may not see the grand design. You are just laying your brick. But you trust the blueprint. You trust the compounding effect. And as the decades pass, you look back and you see what you have built. Your career is not just a job, it is a pillar of mastery. Your health is not just an absence of sickness, it is a foundation of vitality. Your relationships are not just connections, they are the stained glass windows of love and meaning. And your character is the great spire built of the compounded integrity of 1,000,000 correct choices. This is the ultimate legacy. The masterpiece is not what you have built out there, the business, the fortune, the accolades. The true masterpiece is the person you had to become in order to build it. The disciplined, resilient, focused, and honorable human being forged in the quiet, daily fire of the morning architecture. Your life itself becomes the work of art. And so, we arrive back where we began. At the precipice of a single choice, all of this, the compounding miracles, the resilience in winter, the cathedral of a lifetime, it does not begin with a grand gesture. It begins tomorrow morning, in the dark, with a single sound. It begins with the choice of commitment over comfort. It begins with the courage to command your instrument. It begins with the clarity to design your blueprint. And it begins with the power to ignite your day. The sun will rise tomorrow. That is a certainty. The only question is, will you rise with it? The blueprint awaits. Your masterpiece is calling. Go and build. Your journey as the architect begins with the next sunrise. As a first tangible step on that journey, a small act of commitment to the person you intend to become, I invite you to subscribe to this channel and join a community of builders. And in the comments below, make your public declaration. Write the simple, powerful words, I am an architect. Let it be the first stone you lay in the foundation of your new life. Thank you for your time. Your future awaits.